ago. I'm Marti McLeod, and I own Shop Recovery Stuff. I design addiction recovery items. I work all over the U.S. and I do pop-up stores in 4 different states. And I have an online store as well and do lots of bulk and discount, whoopsie, sales. So if you would have told me 10 years ago, hey Marti, you're going to design addiction recovery items, I would have told you you're crazy and laughed and just laughed you out of the room. So I would have never expected that. I am also a certified family recovery coach specialist, which I didn't expect that I would be doing that either. But I'm also the mom of a person with SUD, substance use disorder. My husband Mark and I have an only child who became addicted in college. And the first time that I called for help, what initiated my business was that the first time I called for help, I was actually laughed at and hung up on. So I looked at Mark and got off the phone and said, you know what, we better start learning about addiction or we're going to be dragged under a bus till we die. So we started learning about addiction in 2005 and we've been learning ever since. When one of the times that my son was in a rehab, in treatment, I couldn't find a card to send him. And just like all of us in this room, whether you're directly affected by addiction or you're a family person of a person who's affected by addiction, we all have lives before addiction hit our own life. And I'm actually a professional home stager and renovator. I just don't look like I do construction. So when I couldn't find a card, I designed one. And when I designed that one, then I designed another one, and then another one, and then, hey ladies, come on in. And then whenever I had someone that asked me, hey, can I buy that card? Where'd you get it? I said, well, I designed it and I had to buy $5 million to get the one. So yeah, you can buy it. So Shop Recovery Stuff was actually accidentally born years ago. And then it was added on to in about 2017. I decided that I wanted to take the opportunity to give people in recovery the opportunity to live and share recovery out loud with a positive self-association to recovery and give. I felt like with 200 people dying every day, we needed an opportunity to have a door opener for recovery to be shared. So I started Shop Recovery Stuff online and had no idea that it would be the company that it is today. And in the midst of that, I love families because I'm a family member, and I realize that families aren't always represented. They aren't always, there aren't always people to come alongside them and love them. And so I started doing that, and then I became a certified family recovery coach specialist through Favor Greenville, which is Faces and Voices of Recovery through Rich Jones, so in South Carolina. So anyway, I have the privilege to go all over the U.S. I'm getting ready to open up in the UK as well, but I have the privilege of doing that. But one of the things that I got to do in meeting all the people that I meet is I get to meet lots of people. And one of the areas that is really growing that a lot of people don't know about is online groups. There are online groups that are supporting people 24/7 that never close. And I was just amazed by that. And a friend of mine told me one day, he said, Marti, he called me from the UK and he said, Marti, you need to meet this guy. You guys have the same values, you have the same core, you guys could be brother and sister. It's crazy. And so he introduced me to Higgy Higginbotham, who is the CEO and founder of NoMoreHeroin.org. And Higgy's, if you don't mind me saying, do you mind if I say that? I'm going to invite you on up, Higgy. Higgy's going to share a little bit of his story because at this point in time, the reason that Naloxone training became so important to me was that my friend Angie Rogers, who helped start collegiate recovery, she helped get collegiate recovery going in the U.S. through the Aggies, through Texas A&M. And she asked me one day, she was doing a memorial event, the Black Balloon Day, and a balloon release, and she said, Marti, will you come and bring Narcan? And I said, okay. And I had no idea. And so I quickly went to a training and I met my friend Suzanne Seward, who has the foundation Love Cassidy. Suzanne, I'm going to ask you to stand up if you don't mind. She lost her daughter Cassidy to overdose, and she has been helping train and love families ever since. And she also offers a they offer a curriculum to go into schools to help students learn to deal with their emotions and their feelings, so hopefully they don't, hey y'all, so hopefully they don't have to deal with the effects of addiction. I'll let her share a little bit about that. But I want to make sure I introduce everybody, that it doesn't just happen with me doing it or just Higgy doing it. It happens with everybody coming together. So I met Suzanne at my training for Naloxone training, and then I went on to take the train the trainer training. So, and I met Craig, who is going to be our trainer today. Craig, will you say hi to everybody? Craig is with APAA, the Association of Persons Affected by Addiction, and Craig is an excellent trainer. He just recently trained over 2,000 people with sober living, or 200, I'm so sorry, you're looking at me like, what? 200 people at a training for those. Hello ladies, and I'm going to introduce you. This is Vicki Jinks.
Hi.
And she is with ODA. They helped start Naloxone training in Fort Worth, and God bless you. I met her at the training that I took. So I'm so very thankful for everybody who's willing to learn, because the majority of my friends now who I have would not be here without the life-saving medicine of Narcan. And with that, I'm going to make sure, I asked Higgy if he would come up and tell us first a little bit about his story, because he's been revived with Narcan twice. And so I wouldn't have had a chance to meet him, and I met him when I actually I designed a clothing line for Higgy. So he's debuting that obviously today, and we're going to do some giveaways with that. But we became good friends, and I said, hey, when you're here, let's do something really cool for everyone, that everyone can benefit. And he said, you bet. So we are doing the training today. So Higgy, I'm going to ask you to come up, and then I'm going to ask you to tell a little bit about yourself, and then if you'll introduce Craig, and we'll get started on the training. There'll be plenty of time for questions, and Suzanne and Craig will also be here if anyone has questions after, and Vicky's here as well, so I'm going to put her on the spot and make sure she can answer your questions too, or I can. So with that, this is Higgy Higginbotham of No More Heroin, and I didn't tell how many people you reach every single month.
I'll share that.
Go right ahead. So, y'all welcome Higgy. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for showing up. This is our very first event. We think it's a very worthy and worthwhile cause to educate and distribute Narcan. Myself, I struggled with addiction for 35 years of my life. Periods of homelessness. I've been to prison. I've been incarcerated multiple times throughout the years. I was a deadbeat dad. I was unemployable for most of my addiction, and through the addiction, there were periods when I was doing well, and I have a college degree in medical assisting, so I have always had the ability to do good things, and I had the intelligence to do that, but my addiction took me out of anything that I ever tried to invest myself into, and that was relationships, jobs, careers, working with others. And I am the CEO of No More Heroin, the 501c3, but the nonprofit was born from my Facebook page. It's we have 22,000 followers at this time, and we are community outreach. We help connect people with resources. Free resources, Medicaid, if you have insurance, faith-based. We believe that there's no just one singular path to recovery. And last month we reached 417,000 people through social media. And we connect people, we're connected to people all around the world. And I have a broadcasting platform called the Survivor Series, where I showcase people's testimonies, those people that are willing to step out of the shadows and show that recovery is possible, and that the people from, again, around the world have shared their testimony on my platform and reached a phenomenal amount of people, just giving hope and inspiration that recovery is possible. Doesn't matter how far down you have fallen, you can always pick yourself back up and move forward and have this life that we've never had before, without the burden and the bondage of addiction. And myself, I found myself in an overdose situation twice, and It took me a while after that to actually grasp recovery, because I'm from Ohio, and recovery wasn't big back then, because I was a small town kid. We had nothing to do. We were drinking. We were having kegers in the field. You know, we were out partying, smoking weed. We didn't know any better. You know, and a lot of the issues we had were hand me down from the older generations. But with recovery becoming more and more mainstream, because basically we need people to know that recovery is alive and well. There's many pathways to recovery, and that you don't need to drink a drug to have fun in recovery. We have an amazing time. The online recovery community, we rally together in different parts of the country. We travel as a pack, you know, a clique, a group. We love and support each other. We got people that do music, you know, that use their music and expression to combat the stigma of addiction and to combat the theme of modern day music, and to rep their recovery. You know, I really believe that the only way to combat the stigma of addiction is through our testimonies. You know, being able to share our pains, our struggles, our triumphs in an empowering way, so that people can pick themselves up by their own bootstraps and know that recovery does happen. Especially for this guy, I was hopeless, beyond hopeless, pushing a shopping cart. You know, I was sleeping in alleyways. I witnessed scenes of death and violence that I can't get out of my head. I have mental health issues and PTSD. But today, through my program, I am, you know, living proof that recovery does happen. You know, it is worthwhile. And if we can stay clean and sober today, we can do and be anything we want, and be a productive member of society. And it's an honor to be here with you guys, to be a part of this. It's an honor to. Marti is like a sister to me. We've got this bond now. Mark, who's Mark? I love that.
I'm going to be as tall as him.
One day.
But the camaraderie, the bonds that we create through recovery, because people in recovery, our paths may be different, and the situations may be different, but the way we felt about ourselves is very, very common. You know, and we share common demons, and we're here today to educate you all. I've been on both sides of the Narcan situation. I lost a girlfriend. Before she passed, I had to administer Narcan. And thank God, through my training as being a medical assistant, I knew how to assess the situation, apply rescue, you know, give her rescue breaths, make the call, and keep her going until they got there. And you know, they used the injectable, and she came back immediately. This is a life-saving tool, and we're all deserving of second chances, every one of us.
Yes.
And I've been a recipient of many, and that's why I'm paying it forward for what I'm doing, because it saved my life. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that second chance and the loving support of a support network and a program of recovery. You know, just trying to make the best of it. There are no disposable people in this world. You know, everybody is worthy of a chance, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you guys for being here, and I would like to introduce Craig. Thank you, sir, for being here. Thank you guys.
Well, welcome everyone. My name is Craig Anderson. I'm a person in long-term recovery. What that means to me is since Halloween 2013, I found a more fulfilling, rewarding way to exist on this planet. You know, I'm no longer getting pulled over by police because I'm, you know, drinking and driving, and you know, I'm a better father today, just a better employee, just better all the way around. You know, today I get to work as a recovery coach for an organization called the Associated Persons Affected by Addiction. It's in downtown Dallas. It's just a recovery coaching organization. The way I look at it, it's like a recovery clubhouse. So people in different stages of recovery can come there, you know, whether they're still using or they got 10 years under their belt. There's a lot of really cool programs that go on there. You know, I feel it's a shame that most communities don't have access to something like that. I can't imagine living in a rural area where I got, you know, one meeting twice a week and that's all that I have available to me. We're very fortunate to get sober here in Dallas. The recovery community here is so strong. There's so much to do. Usually most weekends I have to pick and choose what kind of recovery event that I'm going to be at. You know, and Higgy pointed, you know, he touched on it, but if you're not having fun in recovery, you're just doing it wrong. You know, just this is the way I looked at it. But, so we're here, we're talking about reversing an overdose. So, I'm not sure where everyone is on their knowledge of what like an opiate is, what an opioid is, you know, and what we're looking at. But I thought I'd just touch on a little bit of the history. So an opiate is something that's directly derived from the poppy plant. You know, so most of the time we always think about heroin, but there's other substances like morphine and codeine, opium. You know, we had opium wars that went back into history. You know, so those are substances directly related to the plant, the poppy flower that it's pulled from. Well, scientists have figured out a way to make it a lot stronger. So we have synthetic ones, and that's what we call opioids. You know, there's a lot of examples out there. And a lot of the opioids are a mixture of an opiate and an opioid, so it's semi-synthetic. You know, and then the one that we're really here about today is the fully synthetic one, fentanyl. So it's on our streets, it's being cut in a lot of things. You know, years ago I used to think we're a little fortunate because the heroin we get, you know, in Texas, tar heroin, trying to mix fentanyl with it, it's a little difficult. It's not impossible, it's just a little more difficult. But on our streets today, we're seeing the fentanyl is being cut with, you know, it's being cut into all kinds of other drugs. So I work with an organization, they're actually out in the streets, they test fentanyl, and they're finding it in crystal meth, they're finding it in cocaine. You know, people winding up in the ER, and, you know, all they enjoy in their life is, you know, booze and uppers, and all of a sudden they've overdosed on, you know, on fentanyl, and they're scratching their head trying to figure out why. You know, their drug dealer was not, you know, they're not that upstanding of a citizen, right? Well, maybe they are, but who they got it from isn't. You know, and I just saw a report from the CDC a few weeks ago talking about when they test the heroin that's coming over the border, they're testing the other drugs that are coming over the border that are seized. It's being shipped here pure. It's the people here that are cutting it with fentanyl. You know, so that's the part that really scares me. And even scarier are, it seems like pills would be a safer option. You know, pop a couple pills, swallow some alcohol. A lot of the pills that you're buying off the streets are being cut with fentanyl. You can buy pill presses. You can go online right now and you can buy pill press. So pretty much it's like filler, you add what you want to it, you can press it, you can get them to look just like the Xanax bars, you can just like the Percocets. We just don't know what's in them. The color on the outside is correct, the numbers on it are correct. That's not what you're putting in your body. You know, so that's what really worries me. So I try to tailor this conversation towards like the group I'm speaking to. Today it's a mixed crowd. I have no idea who I'm talking to. Usually it's like all recovery house. So you know, I kind of tweak it a little bit, or maybe it's just people that are still in their addiction. They're out on the streets. You know. So, but today I'm not sure who I'm talking to. You know. So I was going to try to touch on everything. So what is an overdose? I mean, what is going on in your body? And there's different types of overdoses. I mean, you can overdose on alcohol, you can overdose on cocaine, but we're just going to talk about opioids. You know, because it affects the different organs in the body, it causes different things. So a lot of people that are abusing opioids, and I can speak from personal experience, you know, you mix it with other things. You know, so usually opioids, they suppress the respiratory system. You know, it slows our breathing down. Me, I would take some pain pills and I'd wash it down with a 40 of beer. That also suppresses it, so it has a synergistic effect. You know, 1 + 1 in that scenario doesn't equal 2. It could equal 5 or 10, you know? And then maybe you realize that mix it with a benzo, you know, it's a much better effect. That really feels good. You add all three together, you've created a deadly cocktail in your body. So it's telling your body to slow down, to slow your breathing, to slow it even more. And then your body that naturally wants to pull the breath, it suppresses that urge to take that next breath. So the overdose is what we're looking at is you just stop breathing. You know, and that's why we're here today. That's where this comes in. So I work with an organization called Oxford House, and I volunteer with them a lot. And we get a lot of people in the homes, and we don't really know them. They're fairly strangers. They're pretty much strangers. And then we spend a lot of time to get to know them. But it's not like with someone that we're living with. If we're living with someone that's in an addiction, it's easier to identify different issues going on with them. They're not acting right, their behavior's off a little bit. You know, they're sleeping all day long. But if it's someone brand new into a recovery home, you don't really know that, you know, they like to take a nap at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they got a weird snore. You don't know, you don't sleep next to them. You know, so we need to go over some of those warning signs today. You know, because what I had an idea of what overdose was years ago is not what I know it is today. So I asked a volunteer to come up here. So we're going to go over the different delivery systems of Narcan, which is the medication that reverses an overdose. So we flooded the person that has taken all these opioids that have put themselves into an overdose situation, what they've done is they've just put in way too much of this opioid in their brain. And the receptors in the brain have captured this and they're pretty much all clogged up. This medication kicks those opioids off the receptors and temporarily, and that's a real important part, it temporarily blocks the effect. Okay, it could be, depending upon the data you look at, it's anywhere between 30 and 90 minutes. And there's a lot of factors that go into deciding how long that's going to last. You know, did they just take heroin? Did they take their normal dose? Did they mix it with alcohol? Is it cut with fentanyl? They didn't know it. You know, so that's something else that, you know, is real important. Usually I have a slideshow. I got really cool pictures of what heroin, fentanyl, and the one we haven't talked about yet. So heroin, this is in a little vial. This is showing probably a lethal dosage of it. Fentanyl is next to it. And if you can see this, it's a much smaller amount. Carfentanil is a much stronger. Typically, what I've heard, it's used to tranquilize elephants, so they're putting them down for surgery or something like that. You know, this we haven't seen quite as much. But if you look online, there's a lot of harm reduction groups that post these things. You know, carfentanil found in this zip code, found in cocaine. You know, and that's a scary thing. So I thought we would show you how to reverse an overdose. So I have a volunteer here today. All right. So here's the scenario. You know, I live in a recovery home. I come home for lunch, and one of my new house members is there. They're taking a nap on the couch, you know, and I don't really know them too well. But there's some things that we can look at and we can figure out that something's a little wrong. So everyone, did you get one of these sheets? So this is an acronym that I try to remember. And there's many different acronyms out there on how to go through this procedure. This one in particular spoke to me because it says scare me. So in this situation, I'm coming home, you know, I'm tired, you know, I have things I need to do in my life, and this is really, you know, this is really an inconvenience, you know, like, this really can't be going on. This whole scenario scares me, you know? So I've reversed an overdose at my recovery organization. That was one of my first thoughts. Just the panic that set in, this can't really be occurring, this isn't really going on. Maybe they're faking it, maybe they're just in a deep sleep, you know? But she doesn't look right, you know, and I'm a little concerned about it. She's got a weird kind of gurgling sound. So in her overdose, I mean, typically what might come to mind is they're not breathing, which that could be the scenario. But they could be in the early stages of this overdose. So she could be just taking a breath every 10 seconds. That's not enough oxygen to get in our body. Or her breathing could be very, very shallow. You know, so this is the time to step up and to interact with them. You know, the first thing you want to do is stimulate. It's the first one I hear, the S. We're all pretty good at stimulating, right? This is a little bit different, okay? You know, I don't really know her too well, you know, so I might want to touch her. I'm like, hey, Dory. And she's just not responding to me. You know, she's just not saying anything. But I'm still a little uncertain. I mean, I'm not an expert at this. You know, and my heart is pumping and I'm panicking and I'm like, what the heck did that guy say that training? I can't remember what to do. You know, just remember this scared me, okay? So the first step didn't work. She's not really responding, okay? You gotta get a little touchy-feely now, okay? This is my favorite part. Most people like this. You want to inflict some sort of pain. Alright? I mean, how else are you gonna know? So you might have seen it in movies where people slapping each other. You don't need to do that. Alright? You don't want her. Maybe she was in a deep sleep. Maybe she's worked, you know, a double or something like that, and she wakes up with a broken nose. She's not gonna be happy. Alright? So what is recommended is a sternum rub. It really hurts. You take your hand like this. You pop these knuckles out, you know, and I'm going to press it onto her chest bone here and rub back and forth. If you try it on yourself, or better yet, turn to your neighbor and hit them. It hurts, you know? That really hurts. I'm like, imagine on me, it's going to like rip out chest hairs and stuff. I'm going to wake up, you know? But there might be a situation where you can't get to that area, or you feel uncomfortable about touching that area. You know, I work in a recovery organization, there's women in there. I don't want to have to do that, all right? Or there could be a strap in the way, or there could be a lot of clothing. You just can't access it. The girl that I reversed her overdose, she had this dress on, she had her arms up in her chest, on her chest. There was no way to get to it. So, you know, I can't get the sternum rub. The other things you can do is, and this is something that you're going to be noticing, I mean, part of identifying that she is probably in that situation is her color's a little bit different. You know, she's Caucasian, she's going to turn bluish purple. You can look at her lips if she doesn't have lipstick on, her fingernail beds. But of course, this one's going to have lipstick all over and nail polish, so I don't know. You know, if she's African American, darker skin, they might turn an ashen color. But still, if I don't really know this person, maybe I'm not recognizing them, they look a little different. You know, but I'm still noticing that she's only taking a breath every few seconds, and it's really shallow. She's not, I'm touching her, she's not moving. That's not normal. You know, so the second part of, I can't access this area, I can take my fingernail and I can push it into her nail bed. That hurts, you know, that really hurts. Or if you forget about that one, the same position as you held your hand that you were going to do this, you can do it on her upper lip. You know, you guys should try it. I mean, it really hurts. So you rub it back here, or you can take a fingernail and you can push it up under here. Okay, so she's not moving at all, right? I know for sure something's really wrong, okay? This is where it's really important. Get your cell phone, you call 911, you put it on speaker, you set it down next to you. You know that real help is on the way. Not that you're not helping, but you know that the professionals are on the way, you know? So you're talking to 911, and depending upon what situation you're in. I'm in a recovery home, you know, my experience with the police is not the same as the next person. Don't need the police showing up. Maybe you're in a trap house. Maybe you've got drugs on you. You don't want the po-po coming, okay? Right? But you want help coming. So you can just let them know, hey, I have someone here, they're not breathing. You know they're gonna be sending EMS, you know? Or like I was at a recovery organization, I let them know. She's only taking a breath like every 15 seconds, okay? I have Narcan. I suspect that she's overdosing. And that's the important part of administering this medication. You just need to suspect. I mean, we're not experts in this area. You know, we're first responders, and we have limited knowledge. And administering this Narcan if we're wrong, it's not gonna cause many problems. So we believe, right? We don't have any incidences where they use the medication incorrectly has caused any problems. So I'm talking to the operator, I know an ambulance is coming, they're like 10 minutes out, you know, I feel a little bit better. I'm still scared. Remember, we're going back to this acronym. So the next step is the airway, okay? I don't know how long she's been laying here. I mean, if you look it up, the brain is you know, it has a lot of problems after 5 to 6 minutes. There's no oxygen circulating around there. Her brain is dying. You know, I'm not sure how long she's been here. So people change their position. Should I administer the Narcan first, or should I do the rescue breath? I mean, if I was sitting there talking to them and they fell out, then maybe I would have given the Narcan first. But I'm not sure with her. I want to make sure that she's getting the air into her. And if you don't even have Narcan present, the rescue breathing is still helping this person.
Yes.
That's all that's going on with them. You want to get the oxygen into them, okay? So the first steps, I want to make sure that her airway is clear, all right? I kind of look at this as a pallet. They're not going to be laying on a table. This isn't going to be perfect. They're probably going to be laying on the floor, or what I think might be harder, they may be sitting on a couch, you know, all like slunched over in a couch. You got to get them in a position where they're pretty much flat. You can get them on the floor. That's probably the best position. But if you're doing this alone, you want to make sure when you drag them on the floor, you're not knocking their head on the floor. You don't want to cause them any more harm. Who knows? Maybe that'll wake them up, right? But you need to try to get them flat. Okay. So with her, you want to position yourself so you can look down her body, because the next few steps it's kind of crucial that you can see that what you're doing is correct. So I want to look into her mouth, make sure there's nothing in her mouth. So I'm going to put my hand under the back of her head, and I'm going to tilt her head back like this, right? And I'm going to use my thumb, and I'm going to open her mouth. So what am I looking for in her mouth?
Needle cap.
Needle cap, that's the best one. We're looking for like an orange needle cap that she popped it off a syringe when she shot up. Although most overdoses don't occur that fast, it can happen. You know, I'm looking for gum. I'm looking for a fentanyl patch that she stole out of grandma's medicine cabinet. I'm looking for dip. I'm looking for anything that's an obstruction that if I force air down here, it's going to force it into the only way that I'm going to get her oxygen. You know, so years ago the finger sweep was what we were told to do. Today we're told to kind of dip our fingers in there like we're playing Operation, that game, and pull that bad boy out. You can turn her head inside and try to fish it out that way. Okay? So her airway is clear. There's nothing in there that I need to worry about. I'm keeping her head back in this position. Okay? I got her mouth open, and this is the part that a lot of people have problems with. Okay? I need to place my mouth on her mouth. I need to create a seal on there. And a lot of the kits that you have, you'll have, it's kind of like a dental dam with a little vent in it, you know, so there's no transmission of anything. And what I used to say is, if someone is in this position, I don't really care. If I don't have a present, I'm just going to go for it. The girl that overdosed in my facility, her breath was wretched, okay? I got close and okay, now I'm scared, now my stomach's turning, okay? I got all this shit going on in my head, I'm worried, you know? I wish I did have a rescue mask, you know, for her. So, if you have the plastic seal, you know, you want to use it, that's fine. But there's a lot of people that's not going to work on. That's not going to work on my face. I got all this hair there. I think if you pushed hard enough, you could create a seal, but I may not. But what if we both have facial hair? I mean, this is a problem.
Could we not just go ahead and do the Narcan shot rather than doing this step? I mean, if we were that concerned.
Well, we really want to get oxygen into her. I don't know how long she's been laying here.
Okay.
You know, I'm really worried about her. There are some products out there. I found this one for $9. You know, there's a couple other really nice ones. So it's a mask. I don't have to put my mouth on hers. It comes with a replaceable little vent. And this makes me sad. There's one for a baby. You know, it just... So, okay, let me go back to this one real quick. So I'm not using any clamp. I got her mouth open, her head is back. I'm gonna clamp her nose, so when I force air in there, it's not gonna come out her nose. And the reason I'm positioning myself this way is when I do this, I'm looking down her body to see if her chest is rising or her stomach is rising. That way I know I am getting air in there. And if you look on your sheet, it tells you 1 breath every 5 seconds. If you can't remember that number, the way I think about it is how often do you like to take a breath? You know, they usually, first time I heard someone say that, I heard Mark say that, it made me take a deep ass breath because, you know, that kind of scared me a little bit. So, let's say I had this instead. Okay, I don't have to clamp anything. I do have to make sure her mouth's open. I do have to make sure her head is back. Her head being back, it straightens this whole area right here. So it's not all like this. You know, we're keeping this all straight. So I could place this over her mouth. You okay? And then you just breathe through here. And there's not a lot of restriction, you know? I think that's pretty good. And the amount of the amount of oxygen that we're getting to them is less than we're giving ourselves. When we're pulling this in our lungs, we're blowing it into hers. It does cut it back a little bit.
Do you mind if I interject?
Please do.
And if you're like I know Lori, you're a sober home owner. If you're a sober homeowner, that might be a great investment for, for people so that it doesn't deter them. There's also like the plastic face one. Do we have any of those, Suzanne? We have some of those that we'll make sure that are just the plastic overlay over the mouth that has the area covered. So we'll make sure that you have that.
So most of the kits come with one of those in.
Yeah.
And I would open it up and take a look at it. It could be wildly beneficial in your situation.
Yes.
So, okay, so I've got a couple breaths in her, okay? She's still not coming around. This is where I would get the Narcan, okay? If you're by yourself and you know the Narcan is upstairs, but you're worried about them, she's breathing, but it's really shallow, and it's this gurgly sound, okay? I'm worried that she's gonna vomit. And I don't want to leave her and come back and see that she had thrown up and she's aspirated it. She's pulled it into her lungs. So I want to leave her in a rescue position. But this could also apply if, say, you're in a trap house and you did call 911, but you're getting out of there. They're not going to get your dope. They're not going to get you because you got a few. You're wanted for some reason. Okay. So you call 911, but you leave them in a rescue position. I mean, you want to help them as much. I mean, they're your friend. You just don't want to spend the next few months in jail. So the rescue position, we're pretty much just putting her on her side. So if she vomits, it's away from the body. She's not laying up and it's just staying there. Okay. So we put one leg up and we put the opposite arm up so that when she rolls over, her head is laying on this. Ready? And you see that all this I'm doing by myself. So we're going to straighten this leg out, and we're going to have this leg here. So she really just can't roll too much. So if she throws up, then we're going to try to angle her head so it's down this way. Okay? All right, so I've run upstairs, I've grabbed my Narcan, or my Naloxone, and I've come back. Okay, so she looks like she's fine. So I have a few different options here. So the cheapest one, I'm looking for it. The cheapest one that you can get, I think I took them all and set them out on the table.
There's one in that kit right there.
You know what? It blended too well. Okay. So this is the one a lot of organizations are giving out, and this is the one that a lot of people have some issues with because it comes with syringes. It's got a little vial and syringes. Typically they have 3 in the kit. Why do they give you so many? You might need a second dose. You might be someone that carries around their vehicle and the effectiveness has dropped a little bit. She might have taken fentanyl. I'm not sure. But after I gave her this and I waited 3 to 5 minutes, she still hasn't come back. And EMS is not here yet. So with this one, they're fairly inexpensive. I think they run $20 for 3 of them. They're maybe even cheaper. It depends on who you go through. What did you hear?
I've about 50.
50 for 3 doses? Okay.
But it depends upon where you go. So do your due diligence and call around because some, like a mom and pop, might be more expensive than CVS or Walgreens. So Tom Thumb seems to be a really good place to go for the Narcan and the Injectable. They seem to be on a pretty decent cost-wise, but just call around before you start trying to find them. And some don't carry them.
So a lot of pharmacies don't carry them. Some of you have to call ahead and then they'll order it for you. So some areas, they're on the ball. They've got a nice stockpile. So with this one, which is the easiest one to obtain, and we have them here today, if you look at that vial, it's only a little bit in the bottom. So you would open up the syringe, take the cap off, you would invert this, you pop the cap off. The easiest way to do this, the way most of us could do this, is you push the syringe up into the liquid, below the liquid level, and you draw it out. The way the professionals do it is they know that there's 1 cc of medication in here, They take a syringe, they pull it back 1 cc of air. They put it in here above the liquid level, force the 1 cc of air in there, and this thing auto-fills with the medication. All right, I had a paramedic show me that. That's the way they do it. Either way, I think most of us are intelligent enough to figure out how to get this into here. It's pretty, but again, we're panicking. I'm still scared. I'm really worried about this. Because this, to me, it only gets worse. Now I gotta put this in her, and that's the whole thing I'm worried about.
And it doesn't matter if air gets in there, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
That's a really good point. So this is this is an intramuscular, okay? On her, I'm looking for anywhere that's got any fat and muscle buildup, okay? If it's someone that's really, really skinny, it could pose a problem. But with her, the upper arm here, this would be a good place. Her hip, her butt, anything like that would be a good place. You want to touch the area first. This is going to go right through the clothing. We're not going to expose an area. We're not going to use an alcohol swab, any of that. We're going right through the clothing. So you want to touch the area to make sure there's nothing there. Like especially if we're going for here, there's no cell phone in the pocket. We're not going to snap the needle off. And you want to try not to hit a bone. You're not going to push this thing all the way home, but you want to get it in there. All right. So yeah, most people don't like this, but this is the one that's available everywhere. The next one. So the generic name for all this medication is Naloxone, okay? The one that most people are able to get as well is Narcan. So this is the manufacturer's name for this nasal injector.
And those are in the kits that we're giving away today.
So we have both available to you, okay? And I don't think it would hurt to have both. The other kit, which it seemed to have gone missing, that the pharmacies hand out, is an injectable one. It's a pre-filled ampule. It goes into the syringe, okay? So there's no pull anything out of the bottle. You can put either the syringe tip on it, or there's another piece that turns it into an aspirator, which you put it in the nostril, you drive it home, and it would blow it up into the mucous membranes. That one I don't have. I don't know where it went. But that's, to me, having more pieces, making this more complicated, it's not the way I want to go. The syringe one, I think, is complicated enough. So the Narcan one, so it looks like this. It comes in a 2-pack. I think it's pretty user-friendly. And I'm going to roll her back. Okay, so I'm ready to work on it. So I'm going to bring her back here. The entire time we're still doing rescue breaths. Remember, 1 every 5 seconds. The most important thing that we're doing is we're giving her oxygen. So I decided to use the Narcan. Okay, it was what I was given at one of these groups. This one's a tester. This has no medication in it. So you would pop it out of the package, and you just choose a nostril. If there's a reason why, if they both are clear, that's, it doesn't matter which one you use. The entire dosage goes in one nostril. You're not going to be dividing it up a little bit, all right? There could be blood or mucus, there could be something present that makes you want to choose the other one, okay? So you would hold it like this. Your fingers are the gauge on it. This entire thing's going to go up one nostril. You don't have to clamp the other side. You don't have to position it any sort of way. Okay, you push it up here and just depress the plunger all the way home. And she has that 1 dose. Okay, so where are we on the scare me? Did you get one of these? You did. Okay, all right.
You're on the end.
Am I? So I've given her the dose. She's got her rescue breaths. The paramedics still aren't here yet. I'm still panicking. Okay, 3 to 5 minutes, 5 to 6. It depends on what website you look at. You want to give the medication a little bit of time to go home.
So you're still giving her rescue breaths?
She's still getting the rescue breaths, but she's either not breathing or she's breathing really oddly. And I think that's probably the best way to put it.
Is the dosage in the nasal sprayer just as much as the dosage that you would put in the syringe? Is that the same?
No. So the Narcan nasal spray is 4 milligrams. The injectable is 0.4.
Okay.
And to me, and I've asked that question before, to me that means that one is a lot more effective in the delivery system than the other. So the nasal one, the dosage is much higher because it takes a little longer for it to absorb into the body. That's the answer I was given by the manufacturer. You know, because I looked at that too, I was like, wait a second, this is 4, that was 0.4. Plus there's another delivery system. And I think most of us who know Mark, who works with Tony, where we get a lot of these great kits from, he calls this the Cadillac, okay? So this is an injector. All right, it comes with a trainer. Each box is a 2-pack, it comes with a trainer, you know, and like I said, we talked about the prices on them. The injectable one, Suzanne said $50, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry, on the injectable,
this is about $120 for a 2-pack. And it depends on who you know, apparently, okay? This I think is a little expensive. And then this one,
4,000.
4,000. All right. Why does it cost so much? Because it talks to you. So you pop this off.
This trainer contains no needle or drug.
All right. So this one's the trainer. Okay.
Pull off red safety guard. To inject, place black end against outer thigh, then press firmly and hold in place for 5 seconds.
So this is just like the intermuscular needle. I want to make sure that there's nothing in the way. Okay? This goes right through the clothing.
5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Injection complete.
So when I reversed that young lady, I had 4 different choices. And I decided to go with this one, partially because the expiration dates I was kind of worried about, you know? And I was surprised. To me, this is pretty small, pretty compact. It's got a big needle in it. Really does. Immediately after I injected her, I pulled the needle away, there was a blood spot. You know, it just kept spreading. I was really surprised. You know, so this one, $4,000. And like I was saying, this one's, let's call it $150. Okay, that's expensive. Both manufacturers said they're coming out with generic versions later this year. So this one's supposed to be 40, and this one's supposed to be 300 to 400. You know, still a lot of money for this toy. And
what is the expiration lifetime of
a lot of the ones that are donated to recovery organizations, they're real close to their expiration date, or they've already expired. This one expired July of 2018. You know,
can it be refrigerated?
Room temperature.
Room temperature.
So just like other medications, you want to keep it out of the light, you want to keep it out of extreme heat, you want to keep it out of the cold. That's not possible for a lot of people. But we're being told that you can successfully use this up to a decade after it's expired. And I think a lot of factors come into play. I mean, how was it stored that time? You know, that's also why you have more than one dose.
If you have it, use it.
Yeah, right.
So, you know, if she wasn't coming to, EMS still wasn't here, I'm still giving her the rescue breaths, I would hit her with another dose in 3 to 5 minutes. And all the numbers change on that.
Now, if her breathing's not very good with the one that you put in the nose, is it not getting up there because she's not taking a breath, or is it still effective? Do you know what I'm saying?
It absorbs into the mucus membrane.
Mucus, okay,
so
gotcha.
it's
not
going in there.
Breath, okay.
Yeah. So luckily for us, EMS has just come in, and the one thing I really want to point out, this is really important. If you're doing this all alone, it's a very difficult task. If you have someone else that's there to assist, that is crucial. You know, like I have a little t-shirt here rolled up on her neck, but you have either someone else maybe holding her head, or put their foot under the back of her head to keep her airway open, so you don't have to keep doing it each time. And it's really great if you could switch off with someone else. I don't know if any of you have blown up like party balloons for your kids or air mattress. It taxes you. It wears you out. So not only is your heart racing and you're freaking out, but now you may feel like you're passing out. I almost have on party balloons.
And while you're showing all of this to us in really slow time over a period of about an hour, this is happening in like seconds, in real time, very quickly.
Yeah, and don't forget, you still have that person. EMS, 911 is still talking to you on the phone. They typically do not hang up. You still have someone that you can chat with. You can still, someone to walk you through it. When you tell them what you suspect is going on, if you do share that with them, they pull this up on their screen. Have you done this? Are you doing this? Okay, is she taking a breath? They're gonna be asking you. So it's nice to have that friend. But if you have other people, like you're in a recovery home or your recovery organization, they shouldn't be standing around. Somebody's got something to do. Somebody needs to take the lead on it. You know, don't stand there and try to figure out, oh, well, you've been here longer, you're older. Someone needs to jump on this, and it has to happen right now. Maybe you're wrong. Maybe there's something completely something else is going on with them. The fact that you're doing something is what's crucial here. The fact that you are with this person, the fact that you're giving them oxygen is really important.
Is there any adverse effects for administering the Narcan to someone that doesn't need it?
No, there's not. So apparently there's no adverse effects in children and pets. It's not supposed to cause any health risks to them, because that's something I worried about as well. But it needs to be, it depends on if you're a regular citizen and at home and you have someone in your life like that may be struggling with addiction. You may have the kit set in somewhere in particular. Maybe you don't want family that comes over to see it. But if you're a recovery organization, it shouldn't be locked in the safe. It needs to be somewhere everyone knows where it's at, everyone has access to it. The Oxford homes I live in, we constantly do trainings. Especially when I'm talking to people, I can tell they're not paying attention, they're playing on their phone, they're texting their boo or whatever, So we do little mock drills. It's really important that we're all up to date on this. When you break down the steps, this is really easy. You realize someone is possibly overdosing, you call for help, you give them air, you give them medicine. That's it. That's really easy.
Is it illegal to have the Naloxone or Narcan?
No. Do you want to touch on that? The House Bill
1462. 1462.
1462.
Senator Royce West here in Dallas created it back in 15. So, and it just gives you, the authority, if you can use that word, to carry it. No one will get arrested, no one will get in trouble for having it on them.
So, some of the people I work with out on the streets, they love these kits, okay? They got their Narcan in here, they got their syringes, they got their dope, they got their other syringes, they've got all kinds of stuff in here. Yeah, they might get in trouble, right? They might get in trouble. They got all the stuff they need in one little bag, but for us working in recovery homes and different things, no. I know that you can't take these into shelters if they have the needles in them. Which is causing a bit of a problem. So we just need to make sure that we get them Narcan.
But it's not illegal to carry. It's not illegal in the state of Texas to carry Narcan. It might be against the policies of maybe a shelter or something to carry in the Naloxone, which is the facility. But it's not illegal in the state of Texas to carry Narcan. We have that. And do you mind, Craig, if I ask Suzanne? She knows very well about that, about the bill and about the standing prescription. Do you mind sharing that?
No, there's a standing prescription that anybody can walk into a pharmacy and buy one of these in any one of those forms. I have put out word to find out about 18 and under. I don't think that a pharmacist is going to sell it to someone under the age of 18, but anybody else can walk into any pharmacy and pick one of these up. It is a standing prescription.
Can you overdose them on Narcan? No.
No.
No, max out.
No. But you want to follow the 3 to 5 rule. I mean, there's a video out there of a group of people that are reviving this girl who's overdosed, and they're hitting her every 60 seconds because they're panicking. They're not waiting. But they revived her. She's fine. So no, there's no maximum amount. I think our maximum amount is set at how much we have in our kit. Which really isn't a lot.
I got a question.
I found that the major pharmacies have it, but I'm calling around to like mom and pops, and I'm not finding it really in the mom and pops. I'm just, you know, kind of spot checking to see what's up. But I find the major pharmacies I know are carrying it, but again, the mom and pops are not really carrying it.
With that, a lot of the pharmacists, they don't know that there's a standing prescription.
Correct.
There is a lot of education that needs to happen with that, because they won't sell it to you because they do not know. So if you can, when you decide to go and buy one of these, take whatever information you have with you to show them that they can sell it to you legally. So that would help you, you know, prevent not walking away with it.
And it's selling, it's not giving, like if I were to go into
No, you have to
CVS,
buy it, yes.
I've got somebody outside who I've just seen is overdosing, and I have to come up with $120 when I walk into
Yes,
CVS.
yes, you have to purchase it.
I think the easiest way is to get it from another recovery organization. There was a dry spell for a while on the Narcan, the nasal spray. The manufacturer is, I mean, they're helping the community. They love shipping this stuff out. You know, but you got to work with them. But there's a lot of recovery organizations you can get. You know, you can get this for free. You really can.
That's why we need to do this more often.
Yeah.
We need to get the word out on this. Yeah. So the harm reduction, I think, is crucial. And there's a lot of really small organizations that I've been working with. They all focus on a little bit different area, but we all are sharing our resources, and I really think that's important. But you brought up, I was at school. I heard a rumor that Nexus trains children.
Oh, wow.
Oh dear.
Trains
For the
children?
kids, for the kids.
14-year-olds and up.
I'm the one that does it. I've never trained the children. But
See, that's why I brought it up.
Yeah, but what we do is, if y'all have heard of the Get Naloxone Now website, they have a little short training. It takes about 20 minutes, and it's animated, asks you questions, and then there's a test at the end. So they used to give a certificate for free. Now they want $10. But so my ladies come in, whoever wants it. Opioid use disorder or not, I'll let them watch that and take that quiz, and then I make them a certificate, and before they discharge, they're given a Narcan kit. And I mean, if they have opioid use disorder and ask for one, or whatever, if they ask for one, we're gonna give it, but I like them to watch that, just so they can have that education on exactly how to administer it. But I've never we don't even have anybody there 14 yet, right now.
Okay, so lucky us,
We don't get to play with the
EMS just came in. What's that?
We don't get to play with the adolescents. They're in a secure building, we get to talk to them.
Well, I heard that at some of the treatment facilities where there's children, the person that just went through treatment or detox, when they go home, the children are trained on how to use it, which seemed like a no-brainer to me, but
because of their parents.
But I just asked the expert in that particular area, and she's,
I have talked to I have worked with parents and family members before when their ladies come home. I have, but children know. But that's a really good idea.
That's a great
I mean,
idea.
they can learn to shoot up themselves, and they can learn how to save
Yeah, that's
themselves
true.
around them.
Yeah, because it's important that it's the people around the person with the substance use disorder. You can't reverse your own overdose. You can freak yourself out and think you're going that way, put yourself in Narcan, but you can't if you're actually overdosing. You can't reverse it yourself. The other thing to keep in mind, and this one I always forget to the end, and I should have added this earlier. Say Dory does, I do revive her. She comes out, she wakes up. She's probably going to be pissed off.
Yeah.
She's dope sick. She probably could vomit. So again, it might be good to angle her head away from me. She's not going to be happy, right? So maybe this is where it's crucial to have someone else with you. Hey, can you check in her purse to see if she has any more in there? She's going to come out. That's the first thing she's going to do. She's going to put more opiates on top of the amount that already tried to kill her. That Narcan wears off.
That's right.
So, and when that Narcan wears off, she could still go back into overdose situation. There may be so much in there that she overdoses again. So if she adds more on top of that, it's for sure going to be a death sentence. So that's really crucial. So like I said, it's up to you. It depends on where you are. If the police are coming, maybe you want to flush her stuff, but at least get away from her. And then when they wake up, let them know, hey, you overdosed. I hit your ass with Narcan. EMS is on the way. Just keep it honest. Because the girl I revived, she's like, she had no clue what was going on.
Yep.
Okay,
let
so
them know, right? Let them know, hey, give it 30 minutes. You aren't gonna feel this way for that long.
That's right.
Yeah.
Talk to them.
reassure them, be with them, share space with them. Okay, so EMS just came, thank God, because I'm still freaking out. Okay, and they took over. So I let them know. I'm just like, hey, this is what I used on them. You know, this is what we did. You know, 911 hangs up with you, and then it's out of your hand. Or maybe she does, you know, come back on her own before EMS comes here. So that's, I mean, that seemed kind of overwhelming. But again, I go back to this scare me. You know, and don't forget the breathing. That is the crucial part. Medication, no medication. Do the breathing. All right, she's
Well done.
Y'all, we're gonna do some giveaways, but before we do, I met Michael Mulvin. I actually met his dad. I met Michael and his dad at Serenity High. I gift Serenity High as they have their students graduate. So, and I met Michael there when he first started, and I asked him if he would be here today, and he's actually good friends with Higgy, so that kind of seems strange that I was able to reconnect with Michael through Higgy as well. And I asked Michael if he would come up and share a little bit with us. And I know that he doesn't need an introduction. He's into the rock radio, and we love him. And I asked him if he would come up, and I'm going to hand out the giveaway. If you want to do, we're going to do some giveaways when he's done. But I asked him if he would tell us a little bit and close us out with this Serenity prayer. So I'm going to let you go, Michael. Thank you
so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. How's everybody doing?
Good.
I'm Michael Moulton. I'm host of Into the Rock. We were Into the Rock Radio, but we've been blessed that we're now Into the Rock. We're all digital TV, and we are broadcasted over every social media platform, every visual platform that you can imagine. So we were iHeartRadio for a long time. I am a person in long-term recovery. I am a recovering drug addict and alcoholic. My story, for me, is kind of crazy with wild nooks and crannies and turns. This disease has cost me everything. I've lost a wife, I've lost a family, I've lost companies, and I almost lost my life numerous times. I lost my freedom. I have 27 mugshots as a result of this disease. I'm sorry. I don't know who's trying to call. Is that me? I don't know if that was me. But as a result of this disease, I have, it has cost me everything. So what do? We talk about drug addiction. We talk about alcoholism. We talk about hurts, habits, and hang-ups. But most importantly, we talk solutions on this show. And I use my personal experience, strength, and hope to be the voice of the addict to explain to the loved ones why I did, sometimes still do the things that I do. Why are my solutions so bizarre? You know, where do we go with this lady that was laying on this table? Okay, we administer Narcan. All right, we save her life. Great job, by the way. The life is saved. Now what? How do we live in long-term recovery and learn to live a new life? Because I have a feeling problem, you know, and I have a disease. I have a disease that is cunning. I have a disease that's baffling. I have a disease that's powerful. I have a disease that speaks to me in my own voice. I have a disease that tells me that I don't have a disease. And I have a disease that when I get in fear, I don't know how to process it. I didn't know how to process it. But in recovery and fellowship and community, I am learning today on a daily basis how to process fear. All right? And that was the common denominator. And that's what we talk about on the show. We talk about removing the stigma of drug addiction. You know, the stigma is created by drama, right? You know, this everything you did, Michael, was bad. It's a stigma. You know, so I don't want to admit that I'm using drugs or drinking alcohol because of this stigma. We reverse it, remove the stigma by telling great success stories like Higgy. We tell great success stories. This is what it was like, and this is what it's like today. And we do that on our platform. Okay? This disease takes us out in huge numbers. Huge numbers. But recovery saves us in huge numbers. And it's spreading the message of hope. It's sharing great stories. So we have guests that come on. We have guests that are addicts. We have guests that are recovering alcoholics. We also have guests, and the guests that I love are the moms, the codependents that come on, that I get to sit there and listen to them and talk to them, because my goal is to be able to talk to a normie or the codependent, and when we talk is to get the codependent to do this. Okay, I understand you now. Okay, and how do we do that? Communication, getting intimate with one another, getting to know. So that's what we do. You can check us out on Facebook. This has been a great event. Narcan has saved my life, and the demonstration was great. So where do we go from there? Okay, we get the person into a treatment facility. Okay, we get them involved in a community of recovery. Okay, we get them involved in support groups. We get them involved with professional counselors, therapists. Okay, because recovery is a long-term deal. I'll end with this. What is recovery? This is what recovery is. Recovery is not about getting good. I say this every time I speak. Recovery is not a room full of bad people trying to get good. Recovery is all about sick people getting well. That's what recovery is. And that's what we need to understand, and that's what removes the stigma. Thank y'all so much. I'm Michael Moulton of the Rock.
It's a tradition for people to stand in a meeting and end with the serenity prayer. So I'm going to ask if we stand, and then I'll do the giveaway. So
Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you everyone for watching online. It's been an amazing day.
Grab a hand.
All right, surrender. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Keep coming back, it works if you work it and you're worth it.
That's right. You're worth it and you're worth it. Work it, work it, work it, work it.
Y'all, there is